This time on Landmarks, we experience the glamour of Cannes. We visit Spain's new designer hotel. We witness architecture going green. And finally, we take celebrating New Year to new heights. But first, we marvel at man's ingenuity in constructing tall buildings. So the emergence of a long disappeared island certainly qualifies as a landmark. In late 2006, a series of spectacular Mount Etna eruptions in Sicily saw the island, last seen in 1831, reappear. What's happening today in the Channel of Sicily, where once stood the Ferdinandea Island? As we noticed during our last diving expedition in the area, we found that the island's tip, that should be 8 metres under sea level, is now 5.9 metres. It's as if the island is trying to re-emerge. The island has emerged 4 times over the centuries, with underwater volcanic eruptions first recorded during the First Punic War of 264 to 241 BC. The last emergence on July 2, 1831, caused months of international wrangling over the island, with 4 nations making territorial claims, including Britain, Spain, and the Bourbon Court of Sicily. The rock, which rose some 65 metres above the surface and had a circumference of around 5 kilometres, emerged in a very strategic location. The British rushed to claim it as Graham Island, while Sicily's King Ferdinand II called it Ferdinandea. Both sides barely had time to rub their hands and stake out the real estate when, just 6 months later, the island once again slid back into the vibrant blue Mediterranean. Volcanic eruptions in southern Italy are, of course, not a new occurrence. In 1944, as hostilities raged during World War II, it was the site of probably the most famous eruption in modern history, Mount Vesuvius. Only months earlier, Sicily had become a springboard for a full-scaled Allied invasion of Italy and the beginning of the end of the war in southern Europe. In 79 AD, the Roman city of Pompeii was engulfed by an explosion so violent and so sudden that its inhabitants and all their possessions were buried in volcanic ash. Much later, the disaster became a unique treasure trove for archaeologists. The city buildings and the corpses of many people had been perfectly preserved. Pompeii has provided a unique window into everyday Roman life. Superstitious Italians say the 1944 eruption was the mountain showing its anger at the war's violence. More than 150 bombs fell on Pompeii, destroying many unique objects. That was the most recent Pompeii eruption, but seismologists say it is unlikely to be the last. Fishermen in the local town of Sciacca have been told about the island by their parents. Like many islands in the Mediterranean, it has been occupied for millennia and has its own folklore and traditions. Whichever name you would like to call it, the Graham Island or Ferdinandea, it has been an infrequent visitor on the doorstep for thousands of years. And of course, in a Mediterranean fishing community, mysterious comings and goings are always accompanied by local myths and superstitions. The locals have a special explanation on why it disappeared. Our fathers say that once this island emerged and someone put a flag on it, what flag? A British flag. The English put a flag on it and the island disappeared into the sea. Coming up, the Cannes Film Festival. The Cannes Film Festival in the south of France is the byword for movie glamour, not just in Europe, but around the world. Set on the beautiful Côte d'Azur on the Mediterranean Sea, the sometimes sedate but always stylish coastal resort has been the elephant everyone wants to touch since its inception in 1947. Each year, careers are made and lost, movie deals brokered and broken, film stars created and rejected, and once or twice, even political revolution has sparked. More than 3,000 movies are estimated to be shown over the 12 days of the film festival, and with each film arrives an entourage. Journalists, film crews, producers, directors, movie stars, and of course, the fans and those dreaming of getting that big break. At least 12,000 people are directly involved, while many more sweep through the festival streets on a daily basis. But despite the romance, Cannes is a convention centre, and like big events, it requires organisation and a precision team. Those who can afford it or are important enough stay at the big-name hotels.
This is sitting room. I'm gonna take you to the master bedroom.
This room at the Carlton Hotel was being prepared for the head of the Cannes film jury, Hong Kong director Wong Kar-wai.
This room is gonna be his bedroom with the same beautiful view on the sea. Wong Kar-wai is a very gentle person and he didn't ask anything yet. So we are waiting for him in 15 minutes now. And we just prepared a VIP treatment with champagne, fruits, petit four from the chef, and we didn't have any special request.
Wong wasn't far away and was looking forward to his 15-day stay at the hotel.
Very happy, very honoured.
The Majestic Hotel, a few steps from the festival's heart, the Palais, is also preparing for the arrival of one member of the jury, American actor Samuel L. Jackson. Renowned French actor Gerard Depardieu and US director Tim Burton will also be their special guests. Flowers or chocolate sweets are on display in their rooms, which overlook the sea, spotted with yachts. The festival business is important for the Riviera resort hotels. In the case of the Majestic, it represents between 12 and 15% of the hotel's annual revenue. We have exceptional quantities of food. We have tens of thousands of bottles of champagne, several hundred kilos of caviar, several hundred kilos of lobsters, foie gras, and so forth. It is a huge volume because this year again we will be organising the closing dinner with 700 people in the ambassador's room at the Palais and 800 people on the Majestic Beach. So we need quite an organisation, but at the same time we must have high quality products, which is the privilege of exclusive hotels like our hotel. And having seen the rich and famous up close, is it true Jack Nicholson likes to do his own thing? He gave his security guards the slip to walk to the red steps on his own like a big boy. He probably walked 4 meters away from the Majestic and was surrounded by a crowd of fans because he's not only a worldwide movie star, but also he has such a personality that he likes being among very interesting people.
Cette personnalité et cette proximité avec les gens tout à fait intéressante.
Most festival goers these days are oblivious to the fact that these fine 19th century hotels were very close to being lost in World War II. Like the rest of France, the French Riviera was occupied by the Nazis. The story goes that in the last days of the occupation, the retreating Germans filled all the major Cannes hotels with explosives. But a young French waiter single-handedly defused the lot, and the hotel survived. Whether the story is true or not, no one seems to know or remember. But then again, it does sound like a good plot for a movie, doesn't it? Canadian architect Frank Gehry is world-renowned for his fantastic designs. Often they are sweeping metallic giants, such as his famous Guggenheim building in Bilbao. His latest addition is a Spanish hotel. The heart of the Rioja wine region is an area usually dominated by green landscape, stretching across hundreds of acres of vineyards. But now, a huge, shiny structure has caught the attention of neighbours and visitors of the area. It's a wavy, titanium-clad structure set on the 150-year-old Marquis de Riscal bodega near the town of El Ciego, some 350 kilometres from Madrid. According to the hotel's director, Michel Nader, the sculpted metallic hulk, tinted red, gold and silver, symbolises the twisted foil discarded from an open bottle of Rioja.
As you can see behind me, you have a state-of-the-art design by Frank Gehry, his second masterpiece in Spain after the Guggenheim Museum. Guests will arrive here and will discover a great place to stay.
Since Gehry's dazzlingly popular Guggenheim building put Bilbao on the map, designer buildings and bridges have become popular in Spain. Structures range from Santiago Calatrava's Opera House in Valencia to Sir Richard Rogers Airport in Madrid. This hotel also makes a strong statement. Despite the incorporation of timber and marble, its size and use of titanium and other coloured metals is a radical departure in terms of how the rest of the town looks. Whether they like it or not, workers and owners of nearby vineyards are now becoming familiar with the structure.
For the first 3 years when the hotel was in construction, the people of El Ciego used to call this hotel behind us the Thing, because they didn't know what was it and had no shape and it was very weird.
The Marquis de Riscal is a wine-themed hotel and has attracted widespread attention, but some locals still dispute its value. There are detractors, there are people astonished by it, people who think it is too much, but time would put it in its place. I think it is going to be very interesting. The Rioja wine region is one of Spain's best known and most popular. For hundreds of years, it has been a fertile valley with many, now ancient vines. But rather than contrast that tradition, the hotel intends to embrace and build on those roots. The romantic story of the journey of the grape is brought to life. The hotel offers 90-minute wine tours, which begin at stainless steel fermentation vats and conclude in a century-old stone cellar where oak barrels line dark, mould-stained walls. For many wine lovers, the sight of dust and spiderweb-encrusted bottles stimulates the palate and captures the imagination. There is also a cooking school and 2 restaurants, one run by the Michelin-starred chef Francis Paniego. A spa will offer wine therapy treatments which include the Sauvignon massage room. The Marquis de Riscal has 43 rooms and suites in 2 buildings connected by a suspended footbridge. But there is a minority of visitors who prefer wine harvesting to wine drinking. The hotel introduced grape harvest packages. Apparently, there are many do-it-yourself tourists who think strenuous exercise is romantic. The Sauvignon massage room may just come into its own.
43 very luxury rooms and suites, a state-of-the-art spa of vinotherapy, and great culinary experience with Francis Paniego that has a Michelin star already at the Echaure.
Frank Gehry's buildings are sometimes labelled postmodernist. Gehry himself disavows any association with the movement and claims no allegiance to any particular architectural movement. The Marquis de Riscal shows Gehry, who is now nearing 80, is inverting the idea that one becomes more conservative in old age. The Bilbao Guggenheim, his Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, and the Dancing House in Prague will all ensure his legend will live long after he has gone. Coming up, architecture goes green. The Pines Calyx is a brand new building at St Margaret's Bay, Kent. A calyx is the cup-shaped shell of leaves that protects a budding flower, so it's no coincidence that the shape of the building, 2 intersecting domes, has been described as an organic shelter. The construction of the environmentally friendly conference and visitor centre in the far southeast of England, near the port of Dover, is the result of one charitable trust taking global warming seriously.
Every building has a secret history and a secret story about the making of it. And this building is full of a secret history which will be unraveled. All the minds, all the talents, everybody's contribution to this has made it almost a living entity. It's absolutely wonderful, very spiritual building.
The building will be used as a conference, training and events venue. It's built into the hillside in a corner of a 6-acre organic garden owned by the St Margaret's Bay Trust, a charity set up with the aim of promoting environmentally friendly buildings and landscaping. Global warming and the need to reduce carbon emissions is becoming a major issue worldwide. One method of reducing the use of fossil fuels such as oil and coal is to insulate buildings so that they need less heating and cooling, and to use recycled or locally available materials during their construction. The walls are made from the chalk rubble excavated from the hillside. It's been compressed and then coated with a transparent layer to reduce dust. Flint nodules, which are a natural feature of the local geology, have been purposely included.
The chalk has been last used about 200 years ago in Kent, when there were houses built and multi-storey buildings built out of round chalk, and we have started to use the technique here. Chalk is actually taken out of the site, and sort of no transport. It makes it very economical and very kind to the environment.
The twin domes are the most startling architectural feature. They are made using 3 layers of fired clay tiles laid edge to edge. They are put in place without scaffolding or supporting structures, using a building technique that's hundreds of years old and which was forgotten until designer Izzy Benjamin rediscovered it in a remote Spanish village.
It's a technique that has been lost for about 100 years, but I saw it used in a little village in Spain by local peasant builders, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I said, that will never stand. They said, let it set and we'll dance a fandango on it, which they did.
The building is being heralded as an example of a low-energy consumption structure. It's naturally air-conditioned. Air is sucked in through a grill in the garden and emerges inside at a regular 12 degrees Celsius.
You're not going to venture into the kind of revolution that's going to be required in British architecture, British town planning, British construction generally, without having a few models. There are 1 or 2 others where work has been done, which is important. But this is a very beautiful one, and I hope that the lessons from it will be learned, because they relate to such things as the amount of carbon that is used, you emit, the amount that you can limit pollution, the amount that you can save energy, the amount that you can use water sensibly, and above all, use raw materials sensibly.
One high-tech addition is the mood lighting, which is programmable to simulate any time of day. The only snag might be mowing the roof. The earth covering the domes has been seeded with grass and will soon be sprouting. No doubt architect Izzy Benjamin will find a way around that too. How did you spend last New Year's Eve? It's unlikely it was atop Mount Elbrus in Russia. For several years, this determined, some say crazy, group of Russians spend each New Year atop the world's tallest mountains. Then again, they're doing what mountain climbers love to do, climb. The tradition began here, in their home country of Russia, atop Russia's tallest peak, Mount Elbrus, on New Year's Eve 2001. The journey was symbolic too. The dormant volcano lies near the Russian border of Georgia in the Caucasus, the recognised watershed between Europe and Asia. At 5,621 metres high, it would have been the tallest mountain in the European Union if it had been 100 kilometres to the south. The next year they moved over the border into Europe to climb its officially recognised high point, the White Mountain, Mont Blanc, in southeast France. The 4,808-metre tall mountain lies between France and Italy. The mountain has left many breathless. The exact location of the White Giant has been the source of controversy between Italy and France for centuries. Despite an 1861 treaty between France and the King of Sardinia, which set the border between the countries running through the mountain peak, France consistently has claimed the mountain as its own. Another year saw our intrepid Russian team headed to Africa for an assault on beautiful Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. They wouldn't have succeeded without the help of a team of strong African porters. All mountain climbing demands respect in terms of thoughtful preparation, and good assistance are vital. Kilimanjaro is another dormant volcano with 3 peaks: Kibo, Mawenzi and Shira. Its highest peak, Uhuru Peak, on the volcano Kibo, rises to 5,895 metres, making it the tallest freestanding mountain rise in the world. The climb to Uhuru Peak is considered to be a relatively straightforward job. However, altitude sickness stops many. Approximately 15,000 people a year attempt to climb these mountains, but only about 40% reach the summit. As you can see, our Russian friends succeeded. More vodka was to be drunk. This year, the climbers ushered in the new year by reaching the top of Aconcagua in Argentina, the tallest point in all of South America. When midnight struck, they were raising a toast from the summit, 6,958 metres above sea level, making it the highest summit outside of Asia. This experienced climbing team is meticulous in their planning. From their base camp, they begin at a gentle pace. The mountain is part of the Aconcagua National Park. Like all their climbs, they are in beautiful country. This mountain has a number of glaciers. Unlike the other peaks they've climbed, Aconcagua is not a volcano. It is situated in the Argentine province of Mendoza, just 15 kilometres from the Chilean border. And if you think climbing is beyond you, I don't know if this piece of information will make you feel better or worse. The youngest person to reach the summit of Aconcagua so far was Jordan Romes from California. He was 11 years old when he reached the peak on December 30, 2007. The climbers are nearly there. It's not a forgiving place to nurse a hangover. Altitude sickness is usually accompanied by pounding headaches anyway. For the Russian climbers, reaching a mountain's peak brings special rewards for the new year. It's important to celebrate New Year's in such a way that you have no regrets. And it's beautiful in the mountains. It's a place where time and space converge.